Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. On this episode, we welcome Mimi Andrade. She's a TFN Facilitator as well as a holistic therapist, and she's an amazing person. You don't want to miss this one, check it out. Mimi, how's it going today?
Good, Mike, and you?
Another day, another fun day here at TFN, always something different. I'm so happy that you're on the show today. I'll bring it up. We had one before. There was a little bit of a mishap with the editing, and it was a great podcast. So I didn't want to lose that. I wanted to have you on again because, I love talking to you, Mimi, and I love your personality, and I love what you do here. You're a facilitator here at TFN, and you're such a pleasure to be around and so much help for our community. So,
Thanks for having me, Mike.
No problem. Thank you for coming on
again.
Yeah, let's do this again. So, if anybody doesn't know you, tell me about Mimi. Tell me about what you do. Tell us about just your journey.
Yeah, well, for me, I'll tell you a little bit about me and what I do. I do holistic therapy right now. I used to be a teacher before, back in my country. And what brought me to do what I'm doing right now is just that I was diagnosed with a congenital disease. And I was struggling a lot with chronic pain and all that. And when you go through that, it's just so hard to be dealing with daily situations and with just basic stuff that you do on your daily basis, basically. So I had my two daughters, and I was feeling like all this anger towards everything. And I was just putting it all out there, and I started working on myself because I say I cannot continue like that. I just need to change something on myself. You know, we all have wake-up calls in our lives, and sometimes we just let them pass, and we don't really wake up. We just struggle through it and just don't do anything about it. And for me, I would say that was for me a thing that helped me out to wake up and start working more on myself and focus on myself and to be a better mom. To get rid of all my anger that I was keeping repressed and that I never fully was able to express or set boundaries or whatever, that was making me ill, what was making me feel all that chronic pain that I didn't know how to solve. So I ended up just coming across one day into this Mexican store that I saw an ad there that said bio-neuromotion or biodecoding at the time, I don't remember. And it was a course that someone was going to come and teach from Mexico. So I took it. And then I found out a lot of things that were very interesting for me and the emotional root of all what was causing my chronic pain or all the symptoms that I was struggling. Because if it was congenital, why I didn't have the pain before, right?
Yeah.
And that happened after I had my second daughter. So I just started doing a lot of research. I got very obsessed at researching and trying to find out what was all that. What could I change? And I was wondering all the time, why me? And that brought me into victim mode more and more, instead of asking, what do I have to learn from this? Yeah. What can I do with this to improve myself, to be a better person, to focus on myself? Because I was basically focusing on everything outside but me. Yeah. So
yeah, I think it's like I've heard the term sleepwalking through life before,
yes,
where
totally.
It's like when something that isn't right, or your life, you're unhappy with a position, you're in a job, anything, but you've come to accept it, and you kind of just sleepwalk through your life, putting aside your own personal feelings, your own just your well-being, essentially, because you think this is the norm, this is just what everybody has to do. But it really, like, we're kind of coming to grips, I think, as human beings, that mental health is so crucial, and how much mental health has pull on everything else around you. If you get a minor cold but your mental health isn't there, you will be sick longer. It's like the negativity and living a negative life can make you physically ill.
Yeah, totally. And we keep going through all this like emotional stress every day and every day and every day, and we keep repeating the same patterns and all that, and we just don't really, like, we're basically asleep, right?
Yeah.
Zombie mode there, like, as that's what I usually say. And for me, I think it was not only my diagnosis, but looking at my daughter's eyes, and then they were like looking at me like with their innocence, right? It was not their fault that I was feeling pain. It was not their fault that I was keeping my anger inside me or anything. It was not their fault that I had no courage to express myself or set boundaries with other people. And I was basically living other people's life. Like I was people pleasing all the time. Like if my mom wanted something from me, I was just like doing that. If my neighbor wanted something from me, my like whoever needed me, I was there, but I was not there for me. So basically, of course, your body is gonna pay a toll, right?
Yeah, and not you talk about your daughters, and it's when you don't realize how much of an effect your mood and your life, and even if it's going on behind the scenes, or they're like at school or something for the day, they don't see you throughout the day. Your vibe and just your emotions will rub off onto them. And so if there's stress in your life, or you have this chronic pain, uh, uh, they feel it. It's a genetics or a weird thing, and just like our DNA, like it's weird that when you have someone that you love like very much, when they're feeling something, you somewhat feel it too. So if you're living every day either looking at things negatively, in physical pain, mental pain, they instantly are going to feel it when they're around you, right? So that it's never good to affect everybody around you that way as well.
Oh, totally. No, no. And when the doctors told me you have to learn to live with pain, I say, and why not to learn to live without pain, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what happens is like we take all those emotions or anger towards the people that we love the most. And I remember talking to Danny when I was speaking in a conference in Alberta. In September, and he was like, I was mentioning about all the anger that we bring out with the kids, and he's like, you made me cry with mentioning all that, because I was bringing all my anger towards the government with my kids too. It's not about just one thing or another. It's just a lot of things that we sometimes cannot control in our lives, and we would like to do something, but it's not under our control, and we start feeling like ourselves like guilty, powerless, and
Yeah. Yeah, it weighs down on everything. It's just like if you're super stressed, and you keep going, until you pretty much break. Even if it's to do with work, if you're a business owner or anything, and you're super stressed and you think, oh, I got to keep going, you're not getting 100% out of you. You think that like, oh, if you don't stop, you don't take that mental break, that you're gonna lose something. Like, well, like you're not gonna get that sale or something because you took this time off. But what you don't realize is taking that mental break gives you that break that you can come back after and actually be 100% there with your mind and your effort. But when you're mentally drained, or mentally just, I'll call it like decapitated, like your brain isn't there, your head isn't there, and you just keep going. Physical, whether it be physical or mental pain, when you push through it so much to a point where you're trying to almost ignore it and live normally, it will affect you drastically over time, to a point where it's like almost feels like a point of no return, and it becomes that norm that you just feel like you can't change, right? So like I know that physical, like what did you change from? What did you said you were teaching? When did you decide I got to go blown into this career path and to help other people with their issues?
Well, to be honest, since I was a teenager, I loved psychology, and I loved like all like metaphysics, like personal growth and all that. And I used to be reading books all the time. I wanted to study psychology at the time, but my parents didn't let me study that. So I ended up studying to be a teacher. And then I came to Canada. I couldn't do like teaching like the one that I used to do, and I was not interested anyways because it was not what I really loved. So I think in a way, like life keeps bringing you to whatever you are meant to do.
Yeah.
And so when that happened around, let me see, it's around 10 years ago kind of thing, is when I decided to keep like studying more and more. And I say, I just love this. And that's what I have loved. Like I always loved. And I just went back to what my heart was feeling. So I just kept that path, kept going that path.
So how did you feel? Did you feel an instant like set of relief?
Instant connection. Like it was like, this is like for me. And I went to like, I was honestly like I was going doctors here and there and like rehab here. Like I was having like 5 visits to a rehab per week.
Yeah,
4 or 5, like more than my visits with my friends and stuff. So it was like I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't have energy for anyone. I just stopped socializing, even though I was very talkative and all that. I just stopped seeing people, and I just stayed like life brought me to focus on myself and just the little energy that I had to spend it with myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when those doctors that you're going to visit and they're telling you like, oh, you're gonna have to live with this pain, um, it must have became very clear to you
Very
that
frustrating too.
doctors, as much as like we appreciate them and they do amazing work, um, it is still opinion based. I honestly feel like there's a lot of like doctors that will always, it's like, yeah, there's the facts, and then there's also opinions with their facts. And when you go to 5 different doctors, let's say, and each one of them has a different like different they're like symptom, or not symptom, but like just they'll say this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. I've seen it personally on just like on a minor level when you're sick, and it's just like you go to a doctor, they think it's something, it's not that. You find going to another walking clinic, it's completely something different. And it's just, I feel like that's a lot, like that kind of matches up with a lot of what's going on with life in general, is that they try to make it seem like that all humans can be fixed or can be helped in one way. Everybody needs to fit this mold. This is how you help with in this situation, this situation, this situation. Even schooling, like schooling is like all kids are going to learn the same. Absolutely not. Like everybody has a different way of learning and processing knowledge, like learning everything they teach you in school. And I think we're starting to see that more, that like there is different choices that people can make, and it doesn't need to be just straight line this way.
Totally. No, you have, for me, it was very important to question everything.
Yeah.
And I say, we usually, like, the words are very powerful, because when a doctor comes and tells you, oh, this is genetic, and if you have a mom or a grandpa or whatever that had diabetes, you're going to have diabetes too. And that is not true. Like,
No.
it is proved, like, that our stress, our emotional stress in our unconscious level, it is what wakes up all that genetic part. And it's not actually like the genetic, the DNA, it's in the DNA, and it's gonna come and you're gonna be sick. And if you had cancer from someone else, like you're gonna develop it too. No, like if you don't have that emotional stress in your life, and if you heal it or whatever, you're not gonna develop the same thing.
Yeah.
So they teach us to give the power to everyone else, to give the power to medicines, to give the power to doctors, to depend on someone else. But they don't teach us to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
They don't teach us to have the power in ourselves. So that's actually very interesting, because if you see, like I remember, I was mentioning the other day to you, like my dad was a very like natural guy. He loved like supplements and all that, and doing a lot of research. But my mom was like a little pharmacy. Like she had like a big stock of medicine and all that. And if you came to her and tell her, oh, my hair hurts or my head hurts or whatever hurts, she would give you a pill.
Yeah.
It's like they do in Mexico a lot too. So here is everything more controlled and all that, but it's still like they depend on medication. They don't tell you, oh, okay, if you're going through this, it can be another answer. They just tell you, oh, no, just get used to not do this, get used to not do that, and learn to live with that.
Yeah.
So those are conditioning things that if we don't question them, it's like like a mantra for your life. You just keep living it that way.
Yeah.
Like if I was living with that, like if I decided myself to live with that diagnosis, probably I will be in bed right now and not doing anything, because I would say, oh, poor me, like I'm living in victim mode because the doctor told me I couldn't move. The doctor told me I couldn't do this, and I have to get used. So I would depend on everyone else but me.
Yeah. So, I mean, positive mind frame can get you so many
Yeah.
places, and we see the basically the backfire of what you're saying here, the pill thing, like doctors is giving pills and stuff. Like the opioid crisis is something that was made to seem completely normal. Like, oh, you hurt your leg, here's these pills that until you take it until your leg is healed, but they don't tell you this is highly addictive stuff. Your leg will never feel as good as it does once you take these pills, and they will make it seem normal. Like, oh, you're gonna have to live with this throughout life, but and that's what I think is the scariness, that they've made things so normal that are actually so like bad for your brain and just yourself. The whole thing you said about DNA like not being the same, it's like there's like studies that say that you can get linked, like if your mom or dad has heart disease, you might end up with heart disease. But a lot of it has to do with if you follow the same trajectory of like what they did, if they have alcoholism in their life, drug abuse,
The same patterns.
overweight, anything. Like if you go down the same line, and there is that part of your DNA that will kind of try to drive you in that direction. Like, but if you fight it and you don't let yourself fall into that lifestyle like your parents, your grandparents did, you can kind of erase that health genetics that they say happens. But yeah, for sure, if you keep going and drinking alcohol like your parents did during like whatever era they had of just drinking, you're probably going to end up with the same problems. But if you keep a positive mind frame and live a healthy lifestyle and treat yourself like the whole cliche saying like your body is a temple, but if you actually treat yourself that way, you're probably not, you're not saying you're going to stay like just crazy healthy the rest of your life, but you can kind of keep yourself from that, almost like that genetic ending that you think you're going to have, just like your parents, right? Or just like your grandparents, the exact same way. This is what I'm destined to happen to me. Like, and people will build themselves into that mind frame that it's almost like they will almost like speed that process up. It's like, oh, it's going to happen anyways. Might as well eat terribly for the rest of my life because I'm going to die of obesity anyways or something,
Yeah.
you know, like it's bizarre. So I feel like training your mind to just know what's best for yourself. Don't let anybody else tell you what is good for your mind, your body, and everything, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think it's okay also to make like those mistakes because we're humans and sometimes we can go through the rabbit hole and come out of it and just keep experiencing how it feels one way and how it feels the other way. Because sometimes you can feel like, okay, like today, like I'm feeling healthy, but you don't know like what is to feel healthy probably if you don't experience the other side too. So we have both sides, and whatever happens as well, like repeating what you were saying right now, like you're repeating the same patterns as probably someone in your family. And what we do sometimes, we just have these family loyalties, like depending on how you live the situation with your parents too. Like if you were living your mom's pain very hard, like you were feeling a lot, feeling it a lot, like a kid, were very empathetic or something, and probably you just will repeat unconsciously the same pattern as your mom or your dad because you were like just feeling so bad for them. And we don't grow up as the adults that we are emotionally, and we end up sometimes taking care of our parents' emotions,
Yeah.
thinking that is our responsibility,
Hmm.
when it's the responsibility to take care of themselves. And
Yeah.
so we end up like just repeating that because of a loyalty, and we think that we have to do it and we should do it. And every day, like when we keep doing activities or things because we think we should do them or we have to do them, repeating all the time, oh, I have to do this, I should do this, you see it as a way of forcing yourself, a kind of sacrificing yourself, but not because you really want to do it.
Yeah.
So you're not coherent with yourself too.
Yeah, that drives you from so many different like ways too. Like you're people scared of doing what they want to do with their life in general because their parents might not support it
Yes,
or this and that.
totally.
So like they literally live for their parents. The amount of people I know that are like that, that middle of their life, 30s or something, finally realize like, no, I can't. I got to do this for myself. Like, what was considered a comfortable life 20, 30, 40 years ago for the last generations, that kind of lifestyle isn't going to be for everybody. And but when your parents drive you to kind of live that life that they did, you kind of accept, it becomes, again, it becomes the norm, and it seems like, oh, this is what everybody has to do. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to just just be that 9 to 5 or whatever and hate everything I do. But that will rub off onto your kids too. If you, I think everybody wants their kid to succeed to a point where they're doing exactly what they want to do, but succeeding on the biggest level. But if you drive that idea into their mind at a young age that like, no, this is how I did it. It was the easy way. I wouldn't say the easy way out, but this is like the way that you can have a comfortable life. You have to do it this way, and the school systems train them that way too. It's like, okay, you go to university, you do this, this is what this is your life trajectory, but like they don't tell kids to just go for their passions, because if you can make your passion succeed, your mind is going to be so happy. You're going to be doing better work. You're going to be giving to the community and the world more because you're actually showing what you're good at and doing what you're good at, and it actually makes the world work as a better place.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And if you think about this, what you're telling me right now, like imagine ourselves right now, where are we coming from? Like, we have parents. Those parents have two parents,
Mhm.
and also those parents, like grandparents, great grandparents, and all of that. And we have a lot of ancestors, and we also are so connected unconsciously, and all those memories, like that the trauma, whatever they lived, that keeps passing through generations. And if we don't heal it, we could also keep bringing it to next generations. That is our kids too, right?
Yeah.
So our kids, we need to free them too and let them do whatever we can, and it's in our hands with what we have in this life, right? We have a just certain time, and probably we cannot heal everything,
Yeah.
but at least we will do something,
Yeah.
because it can take even up to 3 generations to heal a trauma, like a specific trauma or something. So imagine like the way, like if you heal something today, okay, you leave less to your kids too,
Yeah.
and you can feel it energetically. Even
Yeah.
you can free your ancestors, and you can just say, okay, I appreciate you, I honor you, but I just give this back to you, because this all doesn't belong to me. This pain doesn't belong to me.
Yeah.
And we keep carrying a lot of stuff that we don't even understand, because our unconscious is 95%, and is what mostly we are functioning with, not our 5% that is conscious. So
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
it's very interesting, and it's I think it's just become so just everyday normalities, and it's actually kind of dangerous in a way that the society has made people have to think that it's one way or the highway when it comes to. I mean, we know how bad like that's come forward with health in the last a few years. Just you have to do this. This is how we want it. If you don't do this, you are wrong. The society's going to think you're wrong, and it's very scary because we've been told for so long like it's our choice. Everything is your choice. This is the free
Your choice.
your choice and freedom and just freedom. Like these countries like Canada, United States, just if you move here, you have the freedom of choice and just freedom to make your own decisions as long as it's law abiding, right? And it just seems like that is going out the window. They want everything to be structured to a point where like how you think has to be the way they want you to think, and it's very scary because when you have school systems that are going to be with that mentality, when you have like you're going to be training kids to accept uh, mediocrity, if that makes sense, and just not their full potential. And it's extremely scary, and it's extremely just not something we probably want to visit in the future, but it just seems to be going that way. Uh, and it all comes down to that, uh, I think, just how mentally broken everybody is right now. And the strength of not fighting for themselves and making decisions for themselves. Like it's just, I think people are so broken that they don't have the energy to do it anymore. But we have to.
Well, I think the courage that every person has is very hidden, because they don't allow, like, if you I don't know if you have read this book. It's called The Myth of Normal, from Gabor Mate, and he mentions about that, because we have a shape, like, I forgot the word, a way to think like something is normal, right?
Yeah.
We think that certain way is normal and the other thing is not, and you just accept it one way but not the other.
Yeah.
And we are so divided, and they don't teach us to question anything, because if you question things, then you go against them,
Yeah.
and they don't want that. They want people they want to control too. In
Yeah.
general, in the system is working like that. So once you question, then you start to think for yourself too, because you say, oh, I make my own decisions. I decide, oh, this belief I wanted, this I don't. And they don't teach you as well to live in love,
Yeah.
like to feel or experience love, because once you experience love, you're stronger.
Yeah.
And then they want that, like once you're weak, then you're not stronger. You are more able to manipulate
Yeah. Yeah. And
in all the ways.
they want it to,
People.
it's weird how they've structured everything, and just, even just families and basically making family values, trying to eliminate them, making almost like younger generations despise their past generations, thinking that everybody's not on the same side, when humanity is much more alike than we are different. Yeah, there's some crucial differences between some people, but in reality, they can get along. But we see it right now, the fear mongering and just like the pushing people against one another, when in reality, 5 years ago, some of the stuff you wouldn't have cared about. If somebody that you know has a difference of opinion on something, you wouldn't have cared about it. Now all of a sudden, if you have any difference of opinion on anything, you can't get
Mm-hmm.
along, and it's not, that's not how real life is. But it's scary because if you can train a young mindset to think that way, that's how they're going to grow up thinking and think it's the norm. And that's where we're at right now. That's going to be very scary with children. And that's where I, like we were talking about your journey and just like how your pain that you had could rub off onto your children. But we we know how real that is because just different movements, different things that are going on that are being pushed towards children now are definitely molding their brains to think a certain way. And it's a very scary time for parents. I think it's just a very scary time for parents.
Very hard, yeah. Like especially like if the kids also like, we have our attachments
Yeah.
needs that are like healthy when we are kids, and when they are not met, of course you are putting mental health in, like in risk, right? Because they say, okay, well, if they, what they do, like in the system, if we go into talking about the system, like they take, okay, we take your attachment needs away from you,
Yeah.
like the belonging, one of the things, belonging. You don't belong to what you think you belong. I make you believe that you are different, so you're gonna think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And the person starts to say, okay, I don't fit here. And what happens is if a person doesn't feel that they fit, well, they start to feel like alone. We are social beings,
Yeah.
and it's just like, I think that's what happened with all the COVID thing and all the system, what is happening right now, and all this situation. That in a way, the way I see it is just, I see narcissistic people in the power,
Yeah.
making you believe one thing and making the other believe that they should, no, they should, like they make people believe one thing, and if you think different, they make these people believe that you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a crazy dynamic because most of the people are being brainwashed towards that dynamic, right? And
Yeah.
people start like to get all divided, and we lose strength, we lose community, we lose the belonging part,
Yeah.
and a lot of things like
I think they made it so like if it's one thing to like dissolve friendships and stuff, which people go through, they grow out of
the
friendships, things
connections
happen.
connections if,
But when they're forcing families apart during a time because of personal decisions, that just shows that family values to them is not important. And
exactly.
so it's when you got family ratting each other out for differences, whether it be like their political affiliation, their health choices. When you can break a family apart, that is, to the people in charge, that's a complete win. And you've seen that, like the pushing away from family values in the last so many years, to a point where it's almost like seems like they're pushing for divorces and stuff. Like it's become the norm again. It's scary. Like the single family household is like, it's more normal than it is not normal nowadays. And that's not saying that like, people have their differences and that happens, but when it becomes like nobody's fighting for families anymore. Nobody, they think they're going to give up first chance they can. Hard situations. It's a product of what they've designed. It seems like they're just pushing away from kids and generations to care about the past or anything. But in reality, as bad as some of the past was, it is what molds society today. We learn from our mistakes from the past, and if you're trying to wipe out like what's happened in the past or make people despise what's happened in the past, it's bound to repeat itself. That's the thing. It's bound to repeat itself. We're seeing that now. I feel like when it comes to religion and race, people having, it's like it's only coming back so hard because they don't want to know what our past generations actually, they want to make it seem like those past generations were evil, bad, never fought for that. But in reality, they're the ones that brought it to a point where it was finally good. Now they're bringing it back to a point where it seems that everybody is so different, and it's not. It's not how it is. We, especially I see in Canada. Canada, the multicultural like values of Canada have always been there. All of a sudden, within the past 5 years they're saying we're all separated by race, and it's who is like
Once you start labeling, yeah, totally. Once you start labeling, sorry to interrupt you. Like
no,
once you start labeling something, you start to divide, and we are like so confused. Like people is so confused, kids are so confused, and so disconnected. Everyone is so disconnected, and we don't have this heart connection, which
yeah.
is so important to keep us like stronger, to keep us alive, to
Yeah, to keep us going and keep us happy. I think we're a society that says mental health matters, but it doesn't seem that the big companies that are funding these big fundraisers and stuff for mental health
matters for
actually
who.
they don't even believe it. Yeah, but they don't even believe it. I'll bring up I'm not going to name the name of the company, but one that has like mental health matters. They do it every year. This one big event, and like literally fired off a bunch of staff the day of like they put out the mental health. And it's just like it, there's so much going on in the world right now where everything that's being presented as like a gold present, everybody sees what it really is behind the scenes, and it's not that. And I think this is with politics right now too. Politics has, since it's pretty much it was created when democracy was created, there's always been corruption. There always has been. But we're at a time in technology that these politicians that are doing these things that are so wrong, that are getting caught doing it, are still trying to do the old politician like, oh, well, what happened? Like it wasn't me. It's just like, but it's all proof. It's right there for you. But they're acting like humanity doesn't have all these tools to prove they're wrong. So it's at a very bizarre time in life. What really is scary is the people that turn a blind eye to stuff that are just, oh no, that's just conspiracy talk, and they turn a blind eye. But it's like literally, if you actually pay,
Conspiracy realist.
yeah, it's not. It's like they're just theories. They're not conspiracies anymore. Like oh, I guess they are, but it's just everybody sees what's actually going on, what the real agendas are, and I think people are actually I think there's like well, I hate that we use the word revolution, but I think there is definitely a change going on right now. People are uniting. People that might have a couple of years ago been separate on a different views and stuff are uniting. Just it's happening. A lot has to do with just how expensive times are, how it just seems like there's no getting ahead for Canadian society right now. For we're a place of small businesses. Doesn't seem like it's a place that wants to have small businesses succeed right now. They so it's, I think community is gonna come forward pretty quick. Like I think communities are gonna, like different municipalities around the world and or in Canada at least, are gonna come forward and be like, no, we are more alike than we're different. Stop making it seem like we hate one another. I hope that's what happens. It just shows how moldable people's mental well-beings are and how like they have control. And I think they're training that us to accept stress. That makes any sense. They want us to believe that this is a normal way of living. But if you talk to people, you're working in a mental health field, nobody seems okay right now.
No. Well, I would say it's a psychological war, like
Yeah.
trying to make people confused on who they are and
Yeah.
on who, even their own truth, making them doubt their truth.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you dare to speak whatever you think is correct for you, whatever is your truth, then you have a bunch of people going against you and throwing a lot of hatred.
Haterade.
That one towards you. So
We can talk about this forever. I know
Forever,
how
yeah.
passionate we both are on the
yes.
subject, and I know
Yes.
we're talking about wanting to promote what you do, but I think mental health is
It's
the
super
biggest thing to talk about here, and there's so many levels and just layers of what the just challenges
affects
that
and
people
challenges,
have with their
yes.
mental health right now, and it's like an onion that could just be
It's
peeled.
everything influences in a way.
Yeah.
I always say when I work with people on the emotional side, and I say, well, I work with you on this field, on this side, but you are a whole. So you are not just a part of something. There is influencing here, what you're eating, whatever like chemicals you're having in your body, whatever you see around you, the environment you're living. So everything is influences in your life, in your patterns, in your health, and whatever you are going through.
Yeah, it's insane, and when you actually stop to think about it, and how much diet and stuff has to do with your mental health, everything. I don't think people. It goes right back to your beginning of your story, is putting yourself first. People might think that's selfish. People, I think that's something that another thing that it's like, if you think about yourself, it's a self. No, it's like, it will, if you take care of yourself before you go to take care of others.
Of someone else, yes.
They're going to do better because you're mentally there and you're mentally.
Your cup is full.
Well, yeah, it's not going to do them any benefit if you are a stress case or angry, depressed, and trying to help them. Like it's that when you have a psychiatrist or something, and you always wonder what's going on in their life.
Yes.
And TV shows always make it seem like they have the most messed up lives behind the scenes. You don't want that, really. You want, not saying that everybody has their issues, but you definitely want someone who has control of their own mental well-being, trying to help your mental well-being.
Well, if you're not helping yourself, how can you help others? That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah,
if I don't help myself, if I don't go through hardship myself, how can I help someone else get out from there?
Oh yeah, and just kids. Kids, you have to have the most patience in the world.
Yes.
If you're mentally stressed, if you're not there, you don't show your kids that patience. It doesn't. What do you think it teaches them? Not to have any with other people. They're harder to deal with at school because they see mom or dad at home with zero patience in almost every situation. That's the thing.
And you tell them, be patient.
Be patient. Be patient. Or like, what's wrong? Or like
what's wrong with you?
See veins popping out your heads as you're trying to help them, and they're like, you look like you're about to tear my head off. So I can just talk about mental health over and over and over about how we need to fix people's well-being and what you do to help people out, looking at health in a different approach, a more natural, I would say traditional way of looking at it, where I think we've gotten too reliant on like modern medicines, modern this, modern that, but our ancestors, they came up with natural ways to.
They had the answer for that.
Yeah. So it's always nice to give people a choice in how they want to affect their own well-being, their health, mental health, everything. They need the choice. Everybody needs a choice to do what makes them comfortable, because the cookie cutter way of doing things doesn't work for everybody. I think we're probably coming close up to the half an hour. I'm so glad that we talked today.
Thanks,
Mark. For I think like the 5th time now or something. But I am so happy that you came on, Mimi. I love your passion. I love what you bring here at TFN, but I also just love your passion for everything you love and what you work towards, and just helping people. And that's what we do here too, is that community is so essential. And we want to be there for the community, for all aspects of mental health, friendship, family. Yeah, bringing the mental health initiative forward, I think, and working alongside people and helping people is something that I'm passionate about. I know you're passionate about, so I just enjoy these conversations.
Me too. Thanks so much, Mike. I really, really appreciate it. And as I mentioned to you right now, like, if we're not here to serve, what are we here for, right?
Exactly.
So, and you as a community, I really appreciate you as a family, this environment, this place. I love you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. We love you too, Mimi. And thank you guys for watching PoCommunity today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, as well as like and comment on this video. And if you want to be a guest on the show, hit us up. We'd love to have you on. Tell your story. That's what we do here, is tell the community your story. So if you're interested, let us know. Hit us up, hit the subscribe, like, and comment. Have a good one.